It's time to get this party started. Let me make sure we're good to go. All right, we are recording, so no swear words as usual. Hopefully, we'll see. Thank you guys for joining our monthly Eloqua user group meeting. Happy holidays. For some folks, it's already Hanukkah and potentially other holidays, so hope you all enjoy them. I'm your host for today. I'm Karen Pendle, or KP, and work for Sojourn Solutions. We're one of Oracle's partners that predominantly focuses on Eloqua and a couple other marketing cloud solutions like Infinity and DataFox. But anyway, I've been a marketer using Eloqua in one capacity or another for the last 15 years, 4 years as a marketer, and then the last 11 years as a consultant. And I've talked to, at this point, over 100 companies on optimizing their Eloqua and a couple other marketing automation platforms you may have heard of, like Marketo and Pardot. I'm based in Nashville, where there is no snow, and I'm disappointed because I'm from upstate New York and love snow, which I think most people don't. Anyway, here's our agenda for today. We have a lot to get through, so we're going to do some really quick reminders, hopefully to keep you guys in the know. That's my goal there. And then we're going to have a maximizer presentation by Michael Blumenfeld. He's one of my favorite people out there. He's also an Oracle partner. He's a partner with other vendors as well, just like we are. But he's going to walk us through Maximizer. It's another Oracle Marketing Cloud solution, and chat with you guys about the use cases for it and how you could leverage it with Eloqua to even, hopefully achieve improved results leveraging Maxi, as I call it. And then I'll dive into, depending on time, tips for executing multi-channel marketing with Eloqua. Like, for instance, what can you do out of the box versus what do you need an app for or a custom solution? So we'll dive in there. And then I would love to get your feedback. You guys are the reason why we hold these user group meetings. So we want to get your feedback on how we can make it even better next year. So I have about 4 or 5 different questions. So we'll have some interaction there, and hopefully you'll find some of this stuff funny. But anyway, and then of course, anytime you guys have questions during the user group meetings, you can always pop them into the chat or the Q&A. I prefer the Q&A just because it's easier to respond to them right there. But either way, we want to make sure you get your questions answered. If you have a question that does not get answered, or you just don't feel like asking it during the meeting, please feel free to ask me later if you'd like, or Michael later about Maximizer. And we are going to send you this recording later today from our very own Eloqua instance. So if you have to bug you out early, no worries. So let's dive in. So this hasn't really changed much. Just continuing to remind you about the big shift of Eloqua moving to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or AKA OCI, because Oracle does acronyms for everything, like a lot of companies similar to Oracle. But anyway, there is a Topliners post about this to give you all the nitty-gritty details, what it means. It will mean you'll likely need to make some changes internally at your organization. So just keep that in mind. The next pod, so next group of customers to have this change done to their Eloqua instance and the apps on top of your Eloqua, like Salesforce integration app, it's pod 6 on January 15th. And then you can see the other pods, which the majority of Eloqua clients are on pods 1 through 4. That's why they're going later, because it's not like you're the guinea pigs if you're on pod 7 or 6, but there's less clients that'll be impacted. So just keep that in mind. And I just want to promote again those now at this point on-demand webinars that the Eloqua product management team put on over this year, and I'm sure they'll have new ones for next year. A recent one they did was on the Eloqua add-on for advanced intelligence, not artificial, but advanced intelligence, which it's a lot like artificial intelligence in some ways. But if you didn't get to watch that or attend it, I would definitely take a look at it. It's an add-on, it's an additional cost, no matter what version of Eloqua that you have. And it's not cheap, but it's powerful. You get I think it's 4 or 5 AI related features. So anyway, we haven't bought it yet here at Sojourn for our Eloqua. We can't, quite frankly, bite off that cost at this point because it's not low cost, but at some point we've added it to our Eloqua product roadmap. So it's something that even if you can't put the budget into adding it now or in 2021, it's one of those things I would put on your Eloqua roadmap to add at some point. and budget for the cost to do so. And then just a reminder, this is a monthly Eloqua user group meeting. We meet every third Thursday of the month, usually at 11 Eastern, but next month we're going to meet at 12 Eastern, so just a small difference there. I'm going to ask you guys about that in our poll to see if you like that time or not, but keep that in mind. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Michael again to walk us through Maximizer. And stop sharing in order to do that. There we go. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karen. Let me just pull everything up. Perfect. Hopefully you all can see my title slide right now. So it's a pleasure to join the monthly user group. As Karen so nicely put it, or KP has so nicely put it, you know, she happens to be one of my favorite people as well. We've been wanting to do something together like this for quite some time. So I'm super excited that we have the ability to close out 2020 on a high note. So I am the founder and CEO of DevGuru, which is an agency that specializes in all things conversion rate optimization. We are Oracle's preferred partner for all things that relate to conversion rate optimization, so tools like Maximizer and Infinity. And today I'm really going to talk to you about the value of testing, not only as a standalone discipline, but also how it works with your investment with Eloqua. Feel free to ask questions along the way. And we can, or I should say, put questions in the chat. And then at the end, I will be sure to answer all of them. And at the end, you'll also see my email. So if you have anything as a follow-up, feel free to just reach out and say hello. So a lot of people think that testing is just a very basic practice. It's very fundamental. It's A versus B. It's red button versus blue button. It's journey 1 versus journey 2. But there's so much more that goes into it. If you think about a knife alone is very rudimentary. You can really only do one thing: cut something or someone, or stab something or someone. But if you think about it in the image that's actually behind the screen right there, when it's added into such as a Swiss Army knife, it really does become very multifaceted. And what I like to think of as testing is when it's applied correctly, it's less about A versus B. It's really becoming a business intelligence practice. The whole notion of this type of discipline, this type of program, is really to drive business intelligence, which will translate into actionable insight for your business. And the beautiful thing about a tool like Maximizer and optimization is that you can quantify every single thing you do. That's the whole reason why this sort of industry was born. It was the reason why Maximizer was created, and I was one of the initial team members that brought it to North America. Was, what's the point of actually making any changes, investing in something, if you actually don't know what impact it has on the bottom line? And this is a tool that will allow you to figure that out. So on the bottom of the screen right here, you'll see about 12 different things that a quote unquote rudimentary testing tool actually can apply and have applications on your website and your business. Now, before I go down and explain, a couple of those and give you an example, I do want you to focus on that rainbow, if you will, kind of in the middle of the thing that says accelerated time to market and cost saver. This is not a one or the other. If you implement this type of program correctly and efficiently, you will actually have faster time to market than you would any other way, and you will have a cost savings, and I'll explain that in 1 second. So everything from segmentation, understanding, how you have to treat someone who is net new to your web experience versus someone who's been there before and they're a loyal customer. You can't market them the same way. Personalization, understanding what somebody likes is not what someone else is going to like. We all know KP loves dogs. I happen to love dogs, but I guarantee you, if we were to poll someone here in the audience, maybe somebody likes cats. If you get down to very specific things, very rudimentary, I keep using that word, but even when you're a little kid, it's vanilla or chocolate. It's, do you want to go skiing or would you rather be on a beach somewhere? Don't answer this, but who did you vote for in the last election? Everybody has different preferences. It's your job as a modern day marketer to find out what those preferences are and then put them right in the forefront, so that way you will have a higher conversion rate. So just in the essence of time today, I wanted to point out one example, which is website functionality. A client of mine, they're a large financial services company and a consumer credit card company. You've all have heard of them. A few years ago, came to me and said, "Listen, someone in our one of the executives came to us and said, we need to have the ability in our website for card members to literally hit a button and then have somebody from our call center call them." And our day-to-day said, "Well, sir, what are you driving that off of?" And he said, "I just want it done." So the hippo effect, the highest paid person's opinion in the room. Moving forward, at that time, the only way you were able to actually communicate with customer service via the website was either sending them an email or chatting with them in some sort of like an instant messenger. So she came to us and said, "What can we do here?" So what we did is we actually made a test, a very basic test that had your default experience, which was, chatting with someone via an instant message or an email. And then we added a third option, which was click to call with one of our operators. And guess what? Every single time someone would click to call and speak to one of our operators, a message would pop up that said, "All of our operators are currently busy supporting other customers. Please either email or text us." And at the end of that test, we found that I believe it was 92 or 93% of all people that came to that customer support page only wanted to talk to someone via an email or via an instant message. They didn't want to talk to anybody on the phone or have anybody call them. So we were able to get this all done within 2 weeks. And when I say that, I mean from the test build to reaching statistical significance with our data. And we were able to create this experience, not only saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars and standing up a call center somewhere, having to put out a bid for it, having to then have IT run a 6-month sprint to have the website connect. We were able to do this all within 2 weeks at a fraction of the cost. So every business, regardless if you're B2B, B2C, you all have the same challenges. I know everybody here feels special, that our problems are unique. And, as a consultant and someone who's been in on the services side, I've heard that before. But they really do boil down to, we want to grow our revenue. We want to retain our customers. We want to mitigate any risks. We want to make sure that what the competition is doing in the market is something that we're going to adapt to, or maybe we shouldn't adapt to it. We want to implement that unified customer experience, right? So it's understanding, how can we take our digital strategies to meet our corporate goals and combining them? How do we create value with all the marketing technology that you own, whether you have a Frankenstein stack or you have just a sole Oracle stack? It's understanding, how do I take all those different investments, all those meetings that I've had to sit in with different sales reps, and put it all together, and really identifying and prioritizing the big ideas. One of my favorite slides is this one. Everybody always likes to think about, how can I improve the positives, right? How do I make more money? How do I get more leads? How do I get to hang out with KP more often? But no one ever really looks at the negatives, which is, how do I reduce bounce rate? How do I reduce fall off in the journey? How do I, all those fun things. So when you look at this type of discipline, yes, you want to be trying to drive growth, but at the same time, you need to plug those leaks so that way you're reducing loss. And you can do this simultaneously with a testing tool, or I should say an optimization tool like Maximizer. Now, for those of you that still aren't familiar with testing and optimization, this is basically, a very high level snapshot as to the practice in itself, right? We have a number of different people coming in. Our goal is to acquire them. You all have, I've been assuming, Eloqua, and Eloqua is probably not the cheapest tools out there, but it's also one of the most advanced, and what it can do, it's super powerful, and every powerful engine needs fuel. In that case, you really can't do much, in my humble opinion, unless you have all those leads that you can then nurture and email, etc. So our job for this is to acquire. So we have anonymous traffic coming to the website. The things that we know about them are they new versus returning visitor? We can geo-target them based off of their IP, and we can get a referral source. Anything that's available in the IP, we'll pick up. So they arrive to the website and we want to run tests. Now, what are our objectives, right? Especially in B2B land, which content is most relevant? Which pages are needed to push a user further down the journey? When do we want to show this content and who do we show this content to? Those are all things that I'm sure you are thinking about, have dealt with in the past, and these are things that everybody faces and experiences. So how do we make sure that we meet those testing objectives? Well, we want to get people to engage with content. So are videos better than white papers versus articles in a blog? Funnel analysis, where do we find drop off? Now, I just want to pause here for a second. Many people think that testing is only beneficial for a B2C company that's selling t-shirts because they have a true funnel. That is, while that is accurate statement for B2C, it is just as applicable for B2B. Even though you might not have a traditional funnel, you definitively have a journey, a funnel, someone coming from an Eloqua email to a landing page to the website. Understanding where that drop off is key. You can do that with a testing tool like this. Predictive analytics and recommendations. People who look like X also prefer Y. Lead capture, application testing, and propensity testing. We do all of these to drive lift in conversion. So when we think about acquisition, we also want to think about upsell, right? Because there's a lot. You need to focus on those different subsegments. You have their net new and you also have your loyal customers. How do we keep them loyal? So what we want to be able to do is say, okay, well, let's create that seamless experience from email to web. So we know they're a visitor because they are an existing customer of yours. They have an Eloqua ID and they're enrolled in a webinar. So our job is to ensure that we can take all that information and then leverage it on the website. So we have this targeted individual, they arrive to your website, we're going to show them targeted content. Now what do we want to do? Well, when you leverage a tool like Maximizer with your Eloqua instance, this is what you should be doing. You want to test email content, visuals, and offers. Now, right now, there is no way to test within an email. However, I believe that functionality should be sometime in 2021. But what you can do is, I'm sure you're sending out multiple different emails, version A versus B versus C. Well, we can ensure that which one of those is taking someone once they've opened your email and then bringing them to the website. We want to ensure that if you're sending someone an offer, an email, I should say, about a white paper versus making a scheduled appointment with one of your sales staff, that they see consistent site messaging. We don't want to send someone the worst thing that you could ever do is, if you think about it as a retailer, I'm sure you're all getting bombarded with emails to make a purchase for your latest fashion for the holidays. Can you imagine getting an email for, hey, take 30% off, and then going to the website and you only get 10? Your head would explode. So we want to ensure that we have consistent site messaging, user journeys. Do we take someone directly to a blog versus the lead capture form? Do we want to take someone to a white paper download and then schedule an appointment? These are things that we should be testing. Test the conversion milestones, right? So are the next Eloqua triggers, are they in the right spot? Should we be moving them forward in the journey or further down in the journey? Understanding marketing placements. We don't want to be marketing to people in a funnel. The whole purpose of a funnel is to get someone to make that final conversion. So whether that is lead capture or signing up for a webinar that you're hosting or opening a bank account, whatever it happens to be, we want to make sure that we educate them before they hit the funnel, and therefore we push them through it right at the end as quickly as humanly possible. And then we also want to target, last but not least, specific offers that are relevant for each one of these individuals. So if you wanted to look at where Maximizer and Eloqua fit together on just one slide at a 60,000 foot view, really high up, this is what it would look like. So starting from the left, we have our mad scientist beakers. That's my way of testing, demonstrating testing. So we want to, first things first, we want to leverage a tool like Maximizer to ensure that we're personalizing and testing the web experience so that way they're driving lead capture. Once we have higher lead captures, you can then put them into your Eloqua instance. You're now going to take all those emails and you're going to send it to group 1, to group 2, to group 3. And maybe you want to offer a white paper to group 1, a testimonial to group 2, and a video to group 3. Well, we can now test more. We want to personalize to make sure that group 1 sees what they're supposed to see on the website. Group 2, same thing, group 3. Or we want to test different offers, different experiences, different journeys. These are things that, again, I've just referenced before. So we're going to now do more experiments with our mad scientist beaker about the optimizing the web experience. We're going to have different pages that will have different, well, let me rephrase that. We'll have one page, if you will, if you have one landing page that will have 3 different experiences that we can tailor with Maximizer that will push them further into the funnel, which will then trigger the next lead nurture funnel or the next step in your sales journey, which could be call us or schedule an appointment. So again, the way I like to look at it is testing as a standalone, in my opinion, and I'm a little biased, is one of the most powerful disciplines that you can have, because the gains that you can see are almost immediate, and the results that you'll see are, like I said, they drive that business intelligence. But what it can do with a B2B practice in marketing automation, I mean, this takes it to a whole new level and enhances your investment. So one of the things that we like to do is, take random websites, and I don't want to say pick on them, but it might come across like that. But what we're going to be showing you is these are some things of the objectives of some pages of people that are within your industry and within your space. So we happen to be using Thermo Fisher Scientific, their website. Their website's very unique because it's a hybrid. It's a B2B and B2C. And what we do is we do analysis, and these are things that I'm happy to do with each and every one of you if this is something that you would like. But we really just take a look at it from a user experience perspective. And again, our objectives for any homepage, we want to drive leads, we want to push visitors deeper into the site, and we want to advertise our value add content. So when you look at what they're doing, again, everything above the fold is all value add. It doesn't get down to sales and promotion and product marketing until the very bottom. So is that the right experience? Is that what we want? Do we test different content placements? Maybe. When you look at some of their product pages, right? What is the goal of a product page? We want to drive action. We want someone to sign up for a demo. We want to get you involved with one of our sales reps. We want to trigger an Eloqua event. We want to educate people. These are all things that we are doing on a product page all the time. Now, on the right-hand side, that is their product page. It is very, very, very long. You can see that what I have on the left-hand side is content that I just wanted to focus on for today. But if you take a look at their 3 CTAs, they have 2 CTAs that open up to lead form and one that's a free download. So for me, the first thing I would say is, which is the most important? Right now, they're pretty much giving cadence to nobody. It's all there's no hierarchy. There's no one is higher than the other. So do we want to focus on demos, or is it getting a sales quote, or is it the free download? And if we're going to have someone that doesn't want to talk to us and they just want to have a free download, do we give them the content for free, or do we only unlock half of it and then put in a lead capture? These are things that you can test easily, and you should be testing easily to help, again, drive what is the ROI sales for you all. Let's just take a look real quick at journey ideation, journey testing, right? We want to make sure that we get someone from point A to point B as quickly as possible, the most efficiently as possible, removing friction points. Again, when you do, this is their B2C side, but when you go from shop all products and we start, it's 4 pages you need to go through to only add a product to a cart. 5 pages to review what's in your cart, 7 pages to check out, and then 8+ pages to actually make that purchase. So think about that from a lead capture perspective. You might not have 8 pages in your lead capture, which we hope not, but is your lead capture form, does it have too many form fields? Are the form fields too big? Is it taking up too much space? These are things that we test with our clients all the time to make sure that we are not losing people right when they get to a lead capture. You've done your job, and now we just need to get them across the finish line. There should be no reason why we lose them right then and there. The last slide, which I'm going to show you about, segmentation, ideation, is, again, you have a lot of rich data within Eloqua that you should be leveraging for testing. And we can ingest all the Eloqua data points that you have and then target those individuals or filter all of your test data by them. But there are some people that don't have a lot of data, or they're just starting off. So a lot of people think I can't personalize my web experience because I don't have expensive data, or I don't have any first party data. My data warehouse is a mess, so therefore I can't do anything. And the truth is that data is everywhere. If you take a look just at their applications and techniques, their top area of the page, if you will, excuse me, their navigation, that's the word I was looking for. You'll notice that things are put together by brands: life sciences, industrial and applied science, clinical and diagnostics, lab solutions. If you start to have people just engage with that content, you can target those individuals. Or if you want to try and say, well, maybe we should focus on life sciences for group A, group B should see industrial applied science, group C should see clinical, and we run a test like that, you can then start to predict 98% of the time, 99% of the time, of people who have these type of data points, they prefer this type of content. Boom, you're now serving up some really relevant stuff. So how do we make all of this happen? And this is where my practice comes in with Oracle's Maximizer. So Maximizer is an optimization tool. And the reason I use the term optimization versus testing is because Maximizer is multifaceted in what it can do. It can do everything from testing, so A/B, multivariate, but it also does personalization. So I kind of like to say that under the optimization umbrella, you have testing and you have personalization, and everything is built within this one-stop shop. Everything from the test you're going to be doing to the reporting and the stats model that you're going to be seeing. And it truly was designed for the enterprise, which is why Oracle acquired it a few years ago. So you'll be able to see that it meets not only all the security that you're going to need, but it also will not cause any latency on your website, which is huge. So everything is controlled. All the tests that you build are going to be built within this one, what we call the campaign designer. Everything from your content, your targeting rules, your actions, the devices. Again, you can be using this across web, we can do mobile, responsive, it works. We can do app testing as well. So a lot of things that we can do to ensure that, you're really getting the most out of it. But the one thing that I did want to show off real quick about the tool is its campaign designer. This is the most advanced campaign designer WYSIWYG editor in the space. And what's so great about this is that it not only is it wonderful for collaboration, but the modern marketer can use it as well as your developer if you need one. So what I mean by this is that a marketer will be stereotypical. We say marketers don't know how to do any sort of coding. Well, a marketer can come in, use the WYSIWYG editor, and he or she can move things around. They can put in overlays. They can put up pop-up windows. They can do everything from the WYSIWYG editor. In fact, you can even do recommendations based off of the WYSIWYG editor as well. So this individual will come in and, maybe they'll get to a point where they're like, you know what, I really need a developer to create something that's a little bit more complex. Well, the developer can come in, pick up right where he or she left off, and then actually finish it with the code editor on the bottom. And what's really cool about this, and again, maybe I'm a nerd deep down, but if everything that you change with the WYSIWYG editor will automatically update in the code base on the bottom, and anything that your developer updates with the code by hand, the JavaScript, HTML, CSS will automatically update in the visual editor. So it's bi-directional. You can go up and down, and really is a really powerful tool. It will work on any, like I said, mobile and responsive websites. So that's pretty good. It works on single page apps such as React and Angular. And again, it also does work with apps. So whether you have native or hybrid apps, these are things that it will work on. So that way you can actually make changes, believe it or not, to the experience without actually requiring an Apple iTunes or Apple's App Store, excuse me, that's what they're calling it now, or Android Store update to the user. So there's some really cool things that will allow for higher velocity and being able to get to market. One other thing I like to share is that, again, this slide doesn't do it justice, but this reporting feature within the tool is second to none in the space. This will do everything from dictate how much longer will you need to run a test before it reaches a statistical significance. It will call a winner. It will tell you predictive learnings that, hey, even though that everybody liked E2, there may be people who preferred experience E1 or E3 or E4. It will tell you how long you would need to run a test based off of a couple of different factors, such as what your traffic is. It'll notify you of flat tests. And again, you have so many different data points, whether they're out of the box. So time of day, device type, geo-targeting, weather targeting, which is always fun, or your Eloqua data points. If we ingest those into the tool, you can now filter all of your test data by, hey, are these people, have they purchased in the past 60 days? Are they in, have they already met with a sales rep? All those different things that you would store within your CRM attached to your Eloqua instance. The last thing I'd like to share about the tool in itself is that it's not one that takes you forever to get up and running. Typically, when we implement a tool like Maximizer, it takes us about 2 weeks from start to finish, and you're actually ready to run a test within a couple of days. So you actually are able to get the return on your investment and have it attached to Eloqua, et cetera, really, really quickly. You're not waiting months to get this done, which is always a nice thing in my opinion. Last thing you want is to be like, oh, this is so cool, and we're gonna, pay for it, and then it's like, oh, you're not gonna see it until second half of 21. Not with Maximizer. Second to last slide, and then I promise I'm going to give it back to the star and the host, KP. But a couple things that people like to ask is, well, what sort of wins can you see? Now, these just happen to be just a couple of verticals that we are supporting, but one was travel. Our goal was to get people to log in because this user wanted people to log in so that way they could customize their offers based off of the user. So by just changing some things around and really creating a clear next step from the travel booking, we were actually able to drive 32% uplift in logins, which was exactly what we wanted to achieve. We have another membership. So think, if you earn rewards points through a credit card and then you want to, leverage those points, what are we looking here? So, when we get people who come in to want to use those points, half the, battle is to get them to go from the homepage to find what they want. Is it something for their office? Is it something for sports and entertainment? Is it fashion? Is it technology? So not only were we able to drive 7% uplift on getting people on page load from the HP, so people go from homepage to the next thing, but we were actually able to reduce the bounce rate as well. So, if you think about that, you're spending all this money, you have bounce rate on your website, you're basically throwing money out the window. Well, let's plug that hole to make sure we can do that. The last one I'll share with you is page engagement. And this is really relevant for B2B marketers, right? So you have all this great content. You want to try and make sure that this content is relevant, that people are engaging with it, so that way we can get them to talk to a sales rep, we can get them to download the white paper, we can get them further into your website. Well, just by tweaking the page, the category page, if you will, and then making it easier for people to search what they were looking for, come up with some nice UX that will allow them to engage without feeling overwhelmed. We actually generated 533% uplift on engagement on that page. Now, I'm not one of those that's like, well, we had 15 people and therefore we only had one person click. Yeah, no, I don't do that. It's for us, this is all statistical significance that, this company has hundreds of thousands of people come in. So we were able to achieve this within a week and a half. So that's really all I had for you folks today. I hope it wasn't boring. I hope that, it was great. I think Karen just put in some information into the chat on how you can leverage Maximizer on some of your landing pages. We're definitively here to help. My phone number, my email address is up on the screen, or you can just reach out for KP and she'll put us in touch. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you guys see the power of what you can be doing with an optimization practice, especially when it's integrated with a marketing automation practice. And I look forward to hearing from you. And if not, I wish you all a happy holiday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and here's to 2021. Karen, back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. So I hope you guys are able now to wrap your heads around Maximizer. For me, you know, I didn't really have anybody like Michael to walk me through it until just a couple of years ago. And each time he presents, I've learned more and more about it. Sometimes even more so than from the Oracle people trying to explain it, because he's been a Maximizer expert for longer than really most anybody at Oracle. So that's why we picked him to do this. Also, if you start to think, well, let's add this to our MarTech roadmap, not like Eloqua specific roadmap, but it's something to consider if you don't already have a tool like it, or if you're not necessarily happy with the tool that you have. There are others out there, but Maximizer pricing would come from your Oracle rep. And then as far as implementation pricing, yes, you could go through Oracle. My recommendation would be to go through Michael's team, because then you're really working with the true, most experienced experts on implementing Maximizer and getting the most value from it. So just some tips there. Let me share my screen again. And just show you what I put into the chat real quick about Maximizer. Is just, if you specifically want to use Maximizer, this assumes you have purchased Maximizer through Oracle, and you want to optimize, test and optimize your Eloqua landing pages. They've done a nice job in the Help Center walking through how to do that in Eloqua and Maximizer. So just keep that in mind. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do our poll next. I want to make sure we don't run out of time and then I can't get your opinions on how these meetings are going so we can optimize them. Speaking of optimize our user group meetings for next year. So I ask that you not be shy and just tell it how it is when I pull up the polls. They're anonymous. I made it set up in Zoom. You just check a box to say, I want this question to be anonymous for whoever answers it. So just keep that in mind. I love the movie Elf. I know it's cheesy, but anyway. All right, I'm gonna launch the poll now. The first question, just so everybody, we usually ask this question just so we can all kind of know who's on the call today. How long have you been an Eloqua user? So if you can pop in your answer there. I will end the poll soon. More than half of you have put in your answer. This is awesome. All right, I'm gonna end it, share the results. So we have most folks here, about 48%, well, exactly 48%, 1 to 3 years of Eloqua experience. We've got some old timers with 3 to 5 years experience, and then just a couple people that have 7+ years experience, the old farts. Just kidding, you could be young. Let me stop sharing, and then I'm gonna do the next question. Okay, do you like, ooh, let me launch it. No. Do you like our frequency of meeting once a month? We asked that like the second time we held this meeting, and everybody was like, yep, keep it once a month, but I figured it's a good time to check back in. I know there are other Eloqua user group meetings, so if you're like, I want to get more, there are other people besides us that host this, and like some people do it specific to industries. They're usually a much smaller audience because it's, you know, just specific to like sports or financial services. So those are good as well. If I were in one of those industries, I would go to both. All right, so it looks like most, definitely 86% like once a month. So we will keep it at once a month. And let me end that, show the results so you can see it. And now we go to the next question, which is about the speakers. Question is, what type of speakers do you prefer? And if you want, pick 2 different types of speakers. So whether it's another Eloqua user, a vendor, like the group, so like Michael today presenting, so Jorn consultants from other Eloqua focused partners like Relationship One, Tegrita, Oracle Consulting even, maybe, oh, we're getting some people who want an elf, that's cool. And Santa, I figured, I knew it. That'd be pretty cool. Looks like it's going back and forth. Most of you have voted. I'll give it another couple of seconds here. All right, looks like it stopped. Let me end the poll and share the results. So it looks like most of you want to hear from fellow Eloqua users. That's how it's been since I've been an Eloqua user. I'm with you guys. So we need you guys to volunteer to do so. I struggle to get people that use Eloqua to present, besides like consultants, people like myself. it would be awesome to have practitioners like yourselves using Eloqua to do more of the presenting. We've only had it done a couple times. So that said, if you do want to present, or if you're like, I think I want to, but I need some help, like coming up with a topic and doing the PowerPoint, or I'd love to see more people share in Eloqua, which I'm going to do if we have time today with multi-channel marketing. So the second, actually we have a tie between Oracle. We usually have Oracle product management people present. Like next month, we're going to have an Oracle Eloqua product manager present details about the next release of Eloqua coming out in February and March. So that'll be cool. And then looks like we tied with Sodorum Consultants. So that's good. I think that's where you get a lot of the specific best practice tips about Eloqua. So makes sense. All right, let me do, I think I have 2 more questions. This is, don't feel like I won't take anything personally. I want to know how you guys think I'm doing as the host. I want to improve where I need to. So if you guys could just candidly choose whatever you rate me as. Again, this is anonymous. And it also doesn't have to be me that hosts this sucker every month. That was a quick one. A lot of people got their votes in fast. All right, well, thankfully, let me end that and share the results. Thank you guys, I appreciate that. Most of you said good or great, so I guess we won't change the host, but I'm always open to your feedback on what I can do better with hosting this. So just know that, and you can send it to me anytime. And one more question related to topics. So pick a couple. You can pick as many, I guess, as you want. Which topics do you want covered in 2021? And if you don't see the topic there, feel free to pop it into the chat. Everybody's thinking this one's taking longer, naturally. In the past, a lot of people said reporting was their most challenging area of leveraging Eloqua or using it. So we will definitely have more on insight and reporting. All right, we've got more than half. So for time's sake, keep your last votes in. I'm going to end the poll, share the results. And it looks like we have best practices around using Eloqua as numero uno, and then Eloqua reporting, nurture campaigns, asset management. A lot of what's coming out in the next release is around asset management improvements in Eloqua, so that's good news. Like the fundamentals have to be good in these platforms for us to get value from them and want to keep using them. So note taken, and we use this and run a report out of Zoom to help us plan for upcoming Eloqua user group meetings. So thank you guys for participating. All right, so those are all the poll questions. So with the next 17 minutes left, again, feel free to pop any questions in the Q&A, but I talked to folks who have Eloqua, to people who have Marketo, Pardot, Acton, looking at moving off the platforms, people who have never had any experience with marketing automation, and almost every time people ask about multi-channel marketing, and if they're looking at Eloqua or if you already have Eloqua, it gets asked a lot, what does Eloqua offer for multi-channel marketing? To be able to execute it and report off of it. So let's just start with what is multi-channel marketing. So in a nutshell, a channel is a method of communication. So when you think about using communication with marketing, it's the practice of using multiple communication channels to reach your customers and prospects with the end goal of generating measurable revenue. So you want to be able to measure each of those channels that you use. So what are some examples of channels? And I'm drawing a line in the sand. It's murky, but to try to show the difference between a marketing channel versus a marketing content type. And I know our head of marketing, Kristen Connell, you could, I know everybody has their different opinions on these two topics, I mean, other things as well, but this was just what I wanted to share for today. We can debate what content types are that are different than channels, but what I'm saying are channels are email, your website, and that includes a couple different things on it, like your e-commerce platform, your chat bot that talks to people, your blog as a way to communicate with people, and then events and webinars, in-person communication. Webinars are close to in-person, but well, I mean, I'm alive right now and talking to you, but I'm virtually doing so. Direct mail, print mail as well included in there. So direct mail nowadays is like, yeah, you could send a postcard, but you could also send a pair of socks or candy or whatever to your prospect or customer, or gift card, if they're allowed to receive them. Social, that's another way that we communicate with people. Paid ads, it's a more indirect method, but like a Google ad, a Facebook ad, etc., a banner ad, print ad, like a billboard, radio ads. Some of those are more specific typically to B2C, but I don't know about you guys. I saw a commercial recently for Salesforce.com on TV. I thought that was pretty cool. It's only a matter of time, I think, before Oracle really gets into that game. Maybe they already have, I just haven't seen it because I don't watch TV a lot. Podcasts, that's another communication method. Word of mouth. Typically in our world, in the marketing world, we see that through our sales reps, channel partners, if you have them, and our customers. And then mobile. And mobile's got a couple of different categories. So texting is what people first usually think of, or SMS. And then VMS are automated voice messages, like, don't forget, you have your gynecologist appointment tomorrow. Yay, can't wait. And then push notifications. So having a notification pop up on somebody's phone or in the app, if you have an app. And then content types, we usually use our content to communicate out on these channels. So you can see there's a whole bunch of different content types. I'm sure there's a bunch more. So this is like the big question of which channels are native in Eloqua, meaning I don't have to pay more, I don't have to use an app. I can just go into Eloqua and send something out to somebody on the other end, like a customer, and communicate with them. Well, first and foremost, you guys all know this, email, right? So that's been the crux of what Eloqua has been really good at as a communication channel for years. Well, not really in Eloqua 9, the interface kind of soft, to be blunt. It wasn't easy to create an email. Better yet, like, know that it looked good on the other end for your customer. Many years ago, there weren't tools like Litmus and email on acid out there to test, so it wasn't fun. But anyway, we're in a better spot. 2020 hasn't been all that bad. I know there's been challenges, but email still is a great communication method. And with COVID, we've seen, not just Sojourn, meaning we've seen analysts that are watching B2C and B2B marketers ramp up their email marketing, and their websites are becoming more important. I love the fact that Michael talked to you guys today about Maximizer, because your website or websites, if you have multiple, your blog, your landing pages in Eloqua and other tools you might be using, it's now more important than ever for our online presence to be slick, to be personalized. And most people aren't there yet and want to be. I just read an article, ClickZ has a great daily newsletter, and they talked about how I think it's like 23% of marketing organizations have personalized their website. That's it. Most haven't. So there's a bunch of us out there, Sojourn included, that want to automate the personalization of our website, and tools like Maximizer can help with that. I'm not trying to like plug Maximizer. It's a great product. There are others out there, but point being, we can step it up. Okay, go back to this slide. So native features in Eloqua. When it comes to website, what's native is the ability to track people on your website. But Eloqua landing pages are not meant to replace your CMS like WordPress, Sitecore, etc. And that's a common misconception that I try to help people understand. Events and webinars, Eloqua can handle the communication of invitations, reminders, registrations, follow-ups. You guys know that. It's not meant to replace Cvent though, or On24 or Zoom. There's no functionality in Eloqua to host a meeting like Zoom is right now. And then social, Eloqua does have some sharing features and social sign-on, which we don't see a lot of people use anymore because end users don't really prefer to give you all their Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, et cetera, information to get a white paper, for instance. It's usually that trade-off is not worth it anymore. It used to be a quick ease of use type of thing, but anyway. And then they do have some nice features in Eloqua for retargeting for Facebook and LinkedIn. So, and it's bi-directional. You can have somebody get to a step in your Eloqua campaign and push them out to an audience in Facebook, so you can use them there to pop up an ad on Facebook. Similar thing can happen with LinkedIn. And then vice versa, you can push somebody from a LinkedIn or Facebook, just call it audience, over to Eloqua, or have that ad on LinkedIn point to an Eloqua landing page. So somebody clicks on it, they go to an Eloqua landing page. So there's less native features, But let's take a look at what requires a custom app. Most multi-channels that you're going to look to do require an app on the Oracle Marketplace, or App Cloud, as I like to call it, or some level of a custom solution. With your website, SEO, e-commerce, a chat bot like Drift or a blog, Eloqua is not going to replace those. It's not meant to. The event webinars, again, I already mentioned this, Eloqua is not meant to replace like Zoom, WebEx, Steven, Eventbrite. Direct mail, this is a little history for you guys. Over 10 years ago, Eloqua 9, the old version, the current version is called Eloqua 10, it used to actually have a direct mail feature. It was pretty cool. The problem with it was when I used it as a marketer, it was expensive. It had Eloqua's chosen print vendor. It was only for print at that point. It wasn't for gifts and things like that. It was only for like postcards and paper reports you could send out to people. And at that time, Eloqua was a private company still. They had their chosen vendor, I think it was in Canada. So for the companies I worked for in the US, when we used Eloqua's direct mail feature, it was cool because it automated it. And I didn't have to work with our chosen direct mail vendor, but it was expensive. So at the end of the day, we swapped out using it and just used our own local in Maryland direct mail vendor and got a better deal. More time consuming though. But anyway, you have to weigh those things. So today you can use a direct mail app for Eloqua like PFL. That's the most common one we see. There's another one called Prints, TO Prints. But anyway, social, if you really want to do social and do it really well, you need a social management platform that does mass listening for your brand out there on lots of different social sites, not just Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, but Instagram, Pinterest, etc., where you potentially might have people chatting about you, good or bad. And then publishing, mass publishing out to say, if you have 5 social places that you're located, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, you can publish out, say, a piece of content to all 4 at the same time if you want to. And then analytics, they really do a better job than Eloqua or Marketo or Pardot combined of giving you your analytics on your social and what people are saying about your brands, your people even, and how the content that you're publishing on your social sites is performing. How many impressions are there? Meaning people like didn't necessarily open it, but were an impression, which I'm not thinking of a good definition for. Anyway, moving on, we only have 7 minutes left. So mobile, Eloqua does not do any mobile. It's on their product roadmap, I think just to add texting next year. But right now, if you want to do automated text messaging, voice, or push, you can do so with apps like Twilio. So SureShot is a partner that has created an app that connects Eloqua with Twilio. Twilio is its own platform for doing mobile marketing. But if you don't want to have to like go into there and take people from Eloqua with their phone numbers and load them into Twilio, you can automate it, have them on a campaign, and maybe like for a webinar, remind them to come via text. Keep all the compliance stuff in mind though, because if we think email compliance is strict, mobile is typically in most parts of the world much more strict. So my hope is that all of us on this call don't do text messaging marketing for many years, because I don't know about you guys, but I typically don't like to be marketed to via text messaging or voice. Okay. But anyway, paid ads. So Eloqua can't like serve up paid ads, but it can be integrated. Like if you want to serve up an ad on LinkedIn, you can point that ad, whatever your little verbiage is, you set up in LinkedIn, and then the link can be to an Eloqua landing page, but it's not meant to replace a paid ads management platform. Same thing with podcasts. There's no podcast functionality in Eloqua. And then of course, word of mouth. You can integrate with your CRM if you have one to get input sales is capturing when they talk to your customers and prospects. That's super common. We've been doing that for years. Same thing with channel partners and having some system that they can communicate back to your company and hopefully integrate that system like Zift, or in some cases, people add it onto their CRM for their channel partners to have access and update records, and that pushes back over to Eloqua. But keep going, I'm almost done here. So I did want to list out for you because we get asked a lot, like, hey, KP, what are some of the top apps I should consider to help personalize our website or to use for a webinar platform? And it doesn't necessarily have to be specific to Eloqua, but what I did here is I showed you existing apps that there are on the Oracle Marketplace or App Cloud for Eloqua. There are more out there that don't have an app for Eloqua. Like for instance, Microsoft Teams. It's a pretty cool tool, but there's no app for Eloqua. And then there are a ton of direct mail vendors, way more than the 2 I've listed, but they don't have apps for Eloqua. So it'd be a custom solution. It might be XFTP import into Eloqua or vice versa out to the direct mail vendor. So you can see there's a whole bunch here to look at. And then I just wanted to stop and see, there's the elf on the shelf or hanging out with the Barbies in the dryer. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A. And then if you have a tip you want to share, if you want to raise your hand, I can unmute you. Let's do that. I hit the allow to talk button. Somebody did ask, do people not like getting reminders about things via text? It's a good question. Personally, I don't. But what I would say is knowing your customer base and your prospects, perhaps like in this case, a reminder, let's just say it's an event reminder, they might prefer it. And it might be a good way to increase people showing up to your event or webinar. But it doesn't hurt to actually survey your customers and prospects and ask them, you know, obviously as a part of a broader survey, so you can improve their experience with your brand and your company. So it really depends on your customers and your prospects. Be making a generalization if I said most don't, but I don't mind getting the Amazon reminders that I have my order on the way, but even those sometimes become just noise. Okay, well, looks like we've quieted down on the questions front. Well, there was just one, so there wasn't a lot to quiet down. So with that, we're losing people. People are heading out. So thank you guys so much for joining again. I appreciate you guys taking the time with us. Our next user group meeting again, January 21st, Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. As usual, I will invite you. You don't have to register right now. I'll put it in the chat and leave this open for a minute, but I hope you all have happy, healthy, peaceful holidays ahead. If you are traveling, wear your mask and be careful. And we look forward to more fun Eloqua user group meetings in the new year. Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.